Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this week's episode of When I Grew Up. On today's episode, I have a longtime friend with me, Jonathan Choi. Hey Jonathan, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for being here with me tonight.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you.
Oh no, it's my honor, man. For those of you that don't know Jonathan, it's a shame because you really should know the man. If you grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Korean American community, he probably is a name that is familiar to you, and he's going to hate that I'm doing this right now. But but no, truly, like I feel like especially we've done a lot of church ministry together over the years, and if you are within like the church community in Atlanta, definitely you've heard Jonathan's name because he's been leading a lot of I guess like a lot of things, like a lot of not just I don't want to call them events. I don't want to call them events because they're more than that. They're more than events and things like that, but truly like just movements. If I'm real, like that. Yeah, movements
really
in our city, especially spiritually, right? And then, just creating like incubators for people to grow in their crafts, and I feel like, I just wanted to brag on you a little bit. But today, that's not why he's here. Today, he's here to tell us about his job. He's a director of product at a real estate company. And let's be real, people, I don't know what that is. But thankfully, Jonathan knows what that is, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about that. So, yeah, Jonathan, can you just jump right in and explain what that really is and your title and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so, thank you so much. That's like way more than half of that stuff is probably slightly exaggerated. But,
no, it's not. I've known you like forever, and I feel like that's truly how I feel about you.
I really appreciate that. But yeah, so my work, I'm the director of product at Commissions Inc., which is a real estate tech company. What we do is build technology to enable real estate agents to do their job better, and so that comes with a slew of different things. But more than just director of product or anything like that, I kind of wanted to break apart what product management is, which is kind of the career path in which I went through, because I feel like it's a young career, and you actually had somebody on who did UI UX design, and that is actually tied at the hip with product. And so product management is predominantly in the tech sector. And like my counterpart would be like a UI UX designer plus like a developer. So if I were to kind of define product management, it's the intersection between UI UX, so the design, the experience of how something works, technology, how it's actually built, and then the business, which is this valuable? Do I actually make money off of this? Is this profitable, and do people like it? So if I were to put it in words, the job of a product manager is to discover a product that is valuable, so people actually find value out of it, usable, so is the experience, the UI UX, the design of it actually usable, and then is it feasible in the sense that can our developers actually build something that is feasible? So it's easy for me to come in, right, and say, I want to build a rocket ship to the moon. And if I look at our team and we only have a team of, car mechanics, it's not feasible for us to do that. So the job of the product manager is to discover value, to create value to the end user, the consumer, by building something that's valuable, usable, and feasible. So that's kind of what my job is. So like an example of what that would be like a really good example, like Dropbox. So if you remember back in the 90s or the early 2000s, because we were there, if you wanted to share information, if we're talking 90s, we might have like a 3.5 floppy disk, and half of your audience has no idea what that is. If you're a little bit older, you have like a hard drive. And if you're a little bit older than that, you might remember there were like thumb drives, like little flash drives. And so the problem that that's solving is I need to get information and have it easily transferable to someone, right? So I need to get my paper from home, take it to the library so I can print it. So that is the problem that people were trying to solve. And they were saying, oh, okay, I need something more portable. So want it smaller. I need more space. So I'm going to make this a gig, 2 gigs, 3 gigs. What a product person did at one point and said, there is a problem here that people need access to data in a very easy, like anywhere they go. So a company was built called Dropbox. And the cloud was created. And that's a product-minded solution where someone said, I understand the consumer problem. And people, if you would have asked them back in the day, right? Hey, if you want to print more things at your library, what would you do? They'd say, give me something smaller. Let me put it on a keychain. I want something quicker. So it's not just what would people tell me to build? It's the empathy of understanding what is the real pain that's happening here, and then finding the right solution of something that's usable, valuable, and feasible. And so that's in a nutshell what I do. So I go into the real estate world. There are brokerages and agents who work in teams to help people find homes. And then I look at their world and find here's a problem that somebody has, or here's something that they're doing that is monotonous, or here's something where they're spending time where they could be spending time elsewhere where it's way more valuable. Mm-hmm. And then I create products to fulfill that issue.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love all of this because it's just like being more efficient in life. And I feel like that's right up your alley. Like,
yes.
The amount that I know you, Jonathan, I feel like, man, this is so you, right? Like this job. And it makes sense that you mentioned that you really do love what you do. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like this is how particularly your brain works. Just like problem solving and finding, you're kind of a big picture guy too. So it makes sense that when you see something, you want to figure out how to make the big picture work all together.
Yep.
That's really cool, man. I had no idea you did that.
Yeah, no, I like it's exactly what you said. And the reason why I'm like not shy about saying those things is because in the beginning when I found it, I would be very hesitant to be like, man, like I'm really good at this. Yeah. But the reason why I'm very like upfront and very honest about that is I think it's really important for people to know that you are built and wired a certain way. Yes. And when you find the thing that like God kind of made you for, like it just kind of fits glove to hand. Like I'm not good at it because I put in extra work more than anyone else. Mm-hmm. I'm good at it because I was actually designed to do this. And so when I do the work, like to some of the other people who are doing it because they're doing it for the paycheck. Sure. It's hard work because they've got to sit there and think. But for me, just like you said, I think God wired me a certain way to where like when I'm sitting in this seat, like I'm just living the way that I was built. And so I love it. I live it. I breathe it. Like this is, I tell people all the time when they're like, hey, I want to, like, what do you do? How do I get into product? I tell them, I honestly think I was a product manager in high school. Like I would just build games out of nowhere because, I saw people were bored at a retreat and, I wanted to create something from nothing, or Ignite back in the day. Like, hey, I see something and I want to create something to build something for that need. Even going into 4 Points and that startup, my first job in product management with Promio, all of those things, it's always been, what can I build? What can I build? And I've had the privilege of working with you with servants, and you kind of got to see behind the curtain of how my mind works of like, what are we building? Like, how do we create solutions? How do we put things together? And, I just think I'm wired that way. And so I think people need to hear sometimes like, oh, like I can actually find something that like I super enjoy, I'm good at, and like I was just made for, and those things exist.
Yeah. I mean, just for people for reference that are listening and don't know some of the names that he mentioned working with, like Ignite and Servants. These are all just the kind of the movements that I was speaking on in the beginning of our conversation, where Jonathan has seen situations or problems that he's mentioned. Not, I don't call them problems, I guess, but just
Yeah,
opportunities. And I feel
opportunities.
like you took them and said, "Hey, what can we do next? What's
Hmm.
the next thing? How can we make this evolve or change or impact even?" And yeah, I mean, I just everything you said, I just resonate because I resonate in the sense that yes, like this is totally your calling, and I can't believe like my goal with this podcast is what you said. Like, oh, there are jobs that fit what you do. And I can't believe you found that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like for
it was
you
a
to
hard road.
discover, oh, this is it. This is what makes me happy, and this is what gives me purpose and fulfillment in knowing what God has called you to do here on this earth. And that's so cool. But okay, I have a few questions as
Yeah.
we're talking, and I'm probably going to skip around. But since we're on the topic of you being wired this way, and you mentioned before that you feel like even in high school, you kind of realized that you tick in a certain way and that's how you think. But was there ever a time where you felt like, I mean, you had to grow into that, you know? So, like, when did you realize, like, oh, like this is what I love and this is how I'm wired? Because I'm sure there are people listening that are like, yeah, I want to find that out,
Yeah.
but like how do I do that? You
Yeah.
know?
So for me, it's a long winding road. So in hindsight, when I look at my younger self, knowing that this job exists, I'm like, man, I was wired for this even a long time ago. But in high school, I had no idea product management was even a thing. It yeah, I don't want to get into the history of product management. I could do a whole separate. So for me in high school, I was like decided that I was going to be a biology major, which I was, bio major, chem minor, music minor, with a straight shot to dental school. And parents, you know, most Asian parents, hey, actually, my parents were pretty open. They were like, hey, you should do whatever you love doing. And I like reverse psychologied myself into other Asian parents. And I was like, so what they really want is me to be a doctor, lawyer. And
Right.
they actually never really pushed that. But for me, I was like, okay, I'll be a doctor. But when I go on mission trips and stuff and I talk to people, there were like a dentist who was like, yeah, I work 3.5 days a week and I make a ton of money. And, you know, like we just go on family trips all the time. I was like, that sounds great. I want to do that. Yeah. And so I did all the grades. I had all the right stuff. But once I actually got into the work, I realized it's so for me, it was high, like repetitive, high, like precision tasks. So with like dental, like you have to be highly precise at the same thing over and over again. And some of my friends who do go to dental school, like that is them. Like they are the type of person where, you know, you get like some kind of IKEA thing and it's built like to spec.
Right.
Whereas for me, I get an IKEA thing, I throw the freaking thing away and I like try to figure it out myself because I love building. So I realized that my skill set didn't match up with that. And so I actually needed a year and I went, you know, abroad just to do music. And actually in college, I built a business selling textbooks. So we started a business from scratch, went to a local bank, asked for, you know, like $20,000 in a business loan with like our cars up against the loan. And then we ended up
in
building
college.
Yeah, and like freshman year of college, we did that. And so by our sophomore year, we had like tripled, quadrupled our loan out. And then by my senior year, we went up against the school's bookstore, and we actually bought the contract out. So then we did all the paraphernalia. We had a brick and mortar actual bookstore. We did like 90% of all the books on campus, and then all of the sports jerseys and stuff that all came through us. So we took, whatever profits off of that as well. So like we did that in college from freshman year to senior year.
You're talking about this like really nonchalantly, Jonathan. Like this is not a common thing. So you started a business in college.
Yeah, me and two other guys.
Okay, but then you didn't go to college right away, you said?
No, actually, I went to college right away. So this is when I'm trying to get. This is with my biochem degree, like biology degree, chem minor, not biochem. I was not that smart. But while I was doing that, I started up a business on the side with two of my friends. So they did all the brick and mortar stuff and inventory, and then I built out our entire e-commerce. So
wow,
this is when, yeah,
that's crazy. Actually, I kind of know this story. I feel like. I don't know. I didn't know all of the details, but wait, so why did you guys do that? You just were doing it for the money, or like it just seems so risky? Like,
so for us, I walked into my biology class and freshman year, first, day of school, and they said, go buy the bio book, buy your lab book, and buy this kit. So I went to the school bookstore, and they said the book is like $250. The lab kit was $150, and like, I went on eBay, and I think I found it for like $25 used. And I was like, bro, this is so messed up that people are selling it at this price. Right. And so I went in to talk to a couple of my friends, and one of my friends was like, dude, we can make a business out of this. So we went into our class the next day, all three of us, and we just said, hey, sign up on this piece of paper if you want to buy the book for $50. And we just made $25 on each book. We did that within the first 3 days of school. And then we were like, wait a second, I think we could make a lot of money doing this. So then we asked the bank for $20,000, and then we just bought $20,000 worth of books. And then we probably made like $60,000 in the first year.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so within 4 years, we had taken over the bookstore, and we had,
Is that okay? Like, is that, like, there's no, like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, we're just college kids, right? So we went in with a business plan. Our business plan was crap. All it was like, we think we can buy books at this price, and we think we can sell them at this price. And they were like, I don't think you can do that. And we went to the bank and said, we just took our $1,000 and we turned it into like $5,000. Can you like give us money? We can totally make you money. Cause obviously they, take a percentage off of a loan.
That's insane.
Yeah, so we did that.
Did you guys study?
I mean, really, you only work in 4 weeks, right? First week of school and last week of school. You sell them, and then you buy them. That's it.
That's so funny. Well, okay, the only reason I do know this story is, like, I know that you did something special with the money you got from those profits.
Yeah,
tell us what you did.
Some of it, I took it to go abroad to do music for a year in Australia. But the majority of it I saved for actually my future wife. And I was like, whenever I get married, it's going to be like the greatest honeymoon of all time. And I let it sit there, and in hindsight, I should have bought like real estate or something. Right. Like I would have made so much on that. But
so romantic though, because only because I know everything that happened. But and so you use that money, right, to like buy a ring and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the whole smart. Engagement to honeymoon,
amazing
wedding, and all of it. Like we just did it,
and no debt, right, from that.
Nope, no debt.
Praise the Lord. That's awesome. That's crazy though. I had no idea it was like that. I mean, I just heard like, oh, you saved some money from college and then you proposed, got the ring. I'm like, oh, what did this kid do? But
yeah, no, so like the reason why I bring that stuff up is because that is in essence product management. It's seeing the need of the people around you and creating value where there wasn't value before. Mm-hmm. And I actually think, certain people have a knack for that. They have what's called consumer empathy. It's being able to put yourself in the shoes of whoever is actually, feeling that need and figuring out solutions that actually work, that are usable, feasible, and valuable. And so, even in college, like I was doing that, but I was still like focused on going to dental school.
Oh, you
even
still
then.
were. You were still like,
hmm
okay. So at this point, at what point? So you graduated the biology degree?
Yeah. So graduated with a biology degree, took my DATs. I was like ready to interview and go, but as I did my shadowing, I was like, this isn't right for me. And my parents were pretty upset because they were like, you went to school for this. And I was like,
Right.
you didn't have to pay a dime, and I have money to live on my own. Like you can't tell me what to do.
Sure, yeah.
And so, I went to Australia for a
How
year.
how that's so like liberating. But anyways.
Yeah. So I went to Australia for a year. And when I came back, I was at a church called 4 Points, which is a church that was just starting up. And that's, again, building, value from where there was none. Like that's where I was. And I actually grew a ton there. But Jason Jong was a discipleship pastor there, and he had started a business. And as I was telling him about some of the stuff that I'd done, he was like, I started a business and I'd love for you to come work. And so I was like, okay. And so I showed up, and I was like, what do I do? And he was like, just figure out something to do. And I went in and I was like, okay, I'm just going to create value wherever I can. And kind of more for people who are looking to make career changes or coming out of college, not sure what they're doing. Like what I did for the first 3 years was go into a startup tech company. So it was a marketing tech company. I did support, sales, onboarding. I did webinars, training. I did marketing. I did like digital advertising, like within like a year and a half span, 2 year span. I literally just went around doing anything and everything that I could. And as I did that, I found product. And when I found it, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
I see.
And I'd say it's a unique experience because it's a startup, but Atlanta has a ton of tech startups. And if you go into a company that's less than 30 people, you just naturally get to wear a whole bunch of different hats. And so for people out there who are like, what do I want to do? Or I know I want to be in business, but not sure where. One of the best things you can do is be severely underpaid at a startup, but get the experience, like a breadth of experience to figure out what you actually enjoy doing.
Okay, so I have a quick question before you continue. So you had a biology degree, and coming out of college, I mean, obviously, Jonathan, your personality is a little bit different in the sense that like different from me in the sense that I like being prepared, right? Like I don't like taking big risks and things like that. But what comes to mind, because there are some people listening that are like you, and then there are other people that are like me. But it's like, you went into this tech company, and granted, there was some grace because you knew Jason, your boss, and things like that. But was there any like limitations? Like, I just feel like it's a very like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of things that you weren't, you didn't maybe have the skill set for at that moment.
Oh, I had zero skill set for anything that I did.
So what was the learning curve like for you?
So what I've realized, and I think the UI UX designer, was it Jessie? Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah, she put it really well. So having a growth mindset. So for me, failing is one of the best things that I can do in life, because every time I fail, I'm that much closer to success. Even when we write music, right? We say we got to write 100 bad songs to write one good song, and we got to write 100 good songs to write one great one. And that's just the mindset of somebody who's going to actually have a lot of movement in life. And so, I think coming from an Asian background, that's not really afforded to us. In fact, if we screw up, we'll punish ourselves before our parents even get a chance to punish us. But one of the best things that you can do to grow in life is to embrace failure as well. As long as you learn, right, from your failure, it's worth it. If you fail and you don't learn anything, that is not worth a single cent, right? That's worth nothing. Like
Yeah.
you're just do the same thing over again. But if every time you fail, you learn from it, then you're that much closer to success. And I think that thought process is actually how product works. So there's something called a minimum viable products or minimum, so MVPs, and that's like the minimum that we ever need to get this testable to someone. So when the UI UX designer came, she said, I make prototypes or wireframes so that devs don't even need to touch anything. And then people tell me if this is actually worth it or not.
I see.
And 9 times out of 10, the first time you try, you're going to fail. But as long as you learn, you can take that and you can turn it into some kind of success. And that's, a good chunk of what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting that what you said too about like just coming from an Asian American background too, and
Yeah.
second generation, and I feel like it is I unknowingly, because I never talk about it, it is rooted in me to want to succeed the first time, like just being perfect the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that more with my children, right? Like my own children. And I'm like, I like kind of cringe like when they mess up, and I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And then, but like, yeah, even David and I like trying to teach Eli and Zoe, like, it's okay. Like, just try. And if you fail, no big deal. Just try again. And, but I do realize that it is kind of embedded in me without even me knowing it. But I love what you said. Yes, absolutely. Growth mindset.
Yeah.
But anyways, to continue with your story, after working at Promio, is that what it was?
Yep. Yeah. Promio. So, I had zero skill set, basically taught myself via Google, YouTube, and then halfway through found out about Linda, Pluralsight, like all those, self-teach types video stuff out there. So anybody who wants to learn anything about anything, you can teach yourself online.
Yeah.
And obviously Jason was a huge mentor. So I was very fortunate to have somebody invest into my career and into my life in that manner. But I will say, like, Jason's MO would be go Google it before he helped me with anything. So if I'd be like, hey, how do I, set up ads in Google AdWords? He'd be like, go Google it. But he was teaching me something. He was teaching me that anything that I didn't know, I could go figure it out myself.
Right,
And there's no, like, nobody has the corner on education, especially not anymore. Like, you can go teach yourself however you want, like General Assembly. You can go sign up. You can learn a trade within, a month or so. And you
Which
can
is
go
crazy,
change everything.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And so awesome, the time that we live in. That's really good. It's really good. I feel like it's really good advice too. Just to like, even it doesn't have to be one way, you don't have to go to college. I mean, granted, of course, there are some careers where you need that college education, but as far as skill sets, for startup tech companies, or even me just doing this podcast, right? It's like, just Google it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But okay, so so after Promio, how long were you there working with Jason?
So how long was my tenure at Promio? I want to say it was like 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And so it was there you said that you discovered product and how it works, I'm assuming, and what it is that product managers do. And so where did that lead you after working in your experience there?
Yeah, so Promio did really well, and then we actually got bought by another company. And whenever stuff like that happens, culture shifts and stuff like that. And so when that happened, it was time for me to move. And so I found Commissions Inc., which is where I still am. So coming up on 3, maybe 4 years there. And came in as a product manager. So, started from the ground and took the consumer website. So in real estate, basically what I built was Zillow for an agent. So If you sell homes, I would build you a website that says Blair's, homes in Atlanta. And it would be kind of like Zillow, except
Okay.
every time someone does something on it, our system knows and it notifies you. So, oh, Jonathan's kind of looking at 123 Main Street a lot. He looked at it 4 times in the last 5 days.
Okay.
Oh, he was looking at $300,000 homes, but now he's looking at 250. Something might have happened. That kind of stuff. And so, oh, he's looking at the
Interesting.
schools a ton. So he probably cares more about schools than he does location or stuff like that.
So, just out of curiosity, like, so in what you're explaining to me right now, an agent has their own site with houses listed. Is it
Yep.
their listings or
No,
everybody's
so-
listings?
Yeah, it's everybody's listing. It's literally like Zillow, except it has more because whatever the agent has, like where they're the seller for, they can put it on that site before it hits what's called the MLS, which is like the multiple listing system.
Right,
so
right,
when you go
right.
on Zillow, you're only looking at MLS stuff. On the agent site, they would have a special section for their listings. And if you talk to them, they can, obviously add additional services or stuff like that. So I started out doing the consumer stuff. Then I built their mobile app for that. And then I moved over to building APIs and integrations. And then most recently, with where I am now, I built an AI system. So if you are looking for a home,
I'm sorry. I'm really like, okay, keep going.
So if you're looking for a home, the agent has to work you as a lead, right? So let's say I'm an agent and you're looking for a home.
Okay.
It's my job to be like, hey, Blair, how are you doing? Hey, have you found any homes? Here's 3 more homes that I found. Do you have, a mortgage or do you have a lender that you want to use? There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens. So what we did was we built an artificial intelligence chatbot, basically, that'll text you on behalf of Jonathan. So you are talking to a machine that sounds pristinely human, and it isn't giving you canned responses. It's responding to your human interaction. So if you were to say something, so the bot would say, hey, my name is Alex. So we named it Alex. I work for Jonathan is how they would introduce themselves. And then
I think I've seen one of these.
Yeah. And then he would say, it seems like you're looking for 123 Main Street because we have the website. We know what you're already looking at. Would you like to go take a look at it sometime? And if you say, oh, no, I'm busy. I've got something to do with the kids. It understands that and it'll say, oh, my goodness. We would love to, do something with your kids, blah, 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 and understands that. And say, what's a better time? Or you just reach back out to me whenever it's a good time. One day later, it'll reach back out. It'll be like, hey, hope your kids are doing well because it knows that. Just wanted to check back in with you with 123 Main Street. And then if you say, oh, yeah, thank you so much for reaching back out. Instead of just going to the next question, it'll be like, oh, no, it's absolutely our pleasure. With Jonathan, we really want to put you first. Tell me just a little bit about your needs for what you're looking in a home. And if they say like, hey, we're about to have another kid, so we want to upsize our home. It understands that, and it'll humanly empathize with you and say, oh my goodness, congrats. We're so excited for you to have another kid. We totally get it. Would schools be something that's important to you? And it's going to proactively pull all the information so the agent has to do nothing. And by the end of it, you've told me what price range, where you're looking, whether you have a lender or not, what kind of mortgage. It can even go through and ask if you want your credit and all that stuff done to get a rate. And basically it'll say, hey, so Jonathan would love to set up a time with you. What time would you like to go talk to Jonathan? And me, as Jonathan, I've done absolutely nothing. This robot has talked to you for the last 5 days, and I'm about to show up and knock it out of the park because I know everything you ever did on my site and everything you talked to Alex about.
That's insane. People that are listening can't see my face. My face was just in awe and shock right now. Only because I just find it so fascinating that, well, one, for somebody that, has talked with one of these robots before, I never really thought about it. Like the efficiency of it and like what it's doing for the agent themselves and but all of those things make sense because I mean, like, you can't talk to like and on a personal level to like 50
Right.
clients. It's just that's so crazy. So okay, sorry, just to back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, I think all that is really cool. You know, just to clarify, okay, so you created this AI system, but you yourself are not coding for this AI system, right? Like you're hiring
No.
people, like you're like kind of the visionary. Oh, this is the problem. This is what we need, and then you hire people.
So I actually have a team of developers, and
Okay,
then I
okay,
have a UI UX designer as
okay.
someone on part of my team.
Makes complete
And
sense.
then that's kind of what I manage
Okay.
from a day-to-day perspective. And so
Okay.
for Sync AI, if I were to kind of break apart everything it took to actually build everything out, like the life cycle of what my job actually was.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. You tell me if I'm going over on time or something.
No.
So
I'm so fascinated right now.
So what we realized is that real estate agents want to make more money, but they can't scale themselves as humans. Like they can't talk to more than one person on the phone at a time.
Right. Yes.
So we needed to figure out a way that we could scale them so that they could do more transactions. And so what in tech world this is called is bionic solutions. It's the Iron Man suit for Tony Stark. It allows humans to do more via technology. Mm-hmm. So that's the vision that I created, right, with our team of we are going to create a way to be able to communicate with more people with zero work on the human. That's the vision. So once we did that, I did a competitive analysis. So I went out and looked at all the other competitors in market, what they're doing. There's automated marketing, blah, 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 blah. And we found AI. We're like, this is amazing. Then we had to make the decision, do we build AI ourselves or do we go integrate it or acquire someone else's services to do that? We did the second. So I ran the business plan. I ran all the numbers for what it would cost for us to build it, time to market versus go buy it and what the profit margin would be. So that's still all on me. So then we decide to acquire it. Then I sit down with all of our developers and their developers on how we're going to make all of that work. Here's all the data we have. Here's the website stuff. I need your AI to understand all the stuff that this is, all the data we have. So we do all that. Then I sit down with my UI UX designer and I say, all right, we got that design. We got this design. We need a way for agents to interface with this thing. So they need to see all of the information coming in. If they want to jump into the text because they ask a question that maybe the AI doesn't know, we need an easy way to do that. We need an easy way to surface all of like the information that's important, like price, beds, baths, location, schools, etc. So then we build that and prototype that. Then we take that prototype into the developers and we break apart what it's actually going to take to build the actual thing. And then we build it to an MVP, which is that minimum viable product. The 20% of the project that is the most important so that we can at least test if this thing is going to work or not.
Okay.
So then we ran a beta test with 50 people and then it turned into 200, 500. And then each time we're iterating on it. So we're finding, oh, that didn't work well, that script or that. And then I create all the documentation and then I teach and train the support team. Then I pitch the idea to all of the other departments and then educate everyone across the entire business on what this product actually is and the value. Then I built the business plan on all the financials. This is how much it costs for us to have the service. This is how much we're going to sell it for. I think if we sell it here, we're competitive with our competitors, or we can go a little under. So in this case, we went under our competitors because our margins were really good.
Okay.
And then I worked with a group of real estate sales coaches to figure out how to voice the AI. And so we took like the top 10 sales coaches and we ran them through a machine to understand how they would handle objections. Oh, I'm already working with the real estate agent. Oh, that's completely fine. If I had new listings that weren't available on any other sites, would you still want those? Yes. Now I can keep talking to you. So all that kind of objection handling we got from coaches, built all that of that in.
Yeah.
And then we did all the PR stuff. So I had to do all the webinars and the write-ups for all of that. Then I sat with our launch team and our marketing team. worked with them on all of our marketing collateral for all of this stuff. Then worked with our billing team to make sure that we have a simple way to actually get the money from everybody who's going to use it. And then I created all the reporting. And then that is once we like launched it. So that is 6 months of my work. And like the beautiful thing about product is that was one out of like 4 projects that I was working on, products that I was working on. But I'm doing very different work, you know, at any point in given time. I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. I'm constantly talking to different groups of people, doing different things. And so for me, I find that highly, highly exciting and fun.
Right. Wow. That's a lot of work. My gosh.
Yeah, but it's all broken up in like 6 months, right?
Right,
6, 7
right.
months.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yes. Wow, that's really incredible. I mean, just to think about the amount of, and it's really crazy also to, I mean, again, I repeat this all the time in every single episode. I feel like it's just always so fascinating for me to hear, like, you know, the genesis of something and it turning into something that we use every single day.
Yep.
And don't even realize it and don't even realize the amount of work that went into it and that somebody has a job doing that. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. And that's so cool that you do that because I had no idea. Okay, sorry. You might have already mentioned this, Jonathan, and I'm sorry if I
No, go for it.
am making you repeat it. But so your company, is it work for one like specific agency or is it like people hire you and contract you guys or?
So we actually have what's called a CRM, which is a customer relationship management system. So if you ever go to a dentist office, they've got to put you into some system to have your email, name, phone number, what work you got done, and all your insurance stuff. So for us, we build that system for real estate agents. So every lead that comes in, what home they're looking for is all in one place. We build the mobile app so that consumers can find homes. We build their website, and all of that is packaged together, and a brokerage would buy our product so that they can run their business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we have, you know, like 3,500, 4,000 platforms with about 40,000 agents, US and Canada, who use our product.
Okay, that's really interesting too. Okay, so you work specifically for real estate, but are there other companies that do what you do for other things? Okay.
Yeah, so product is actually a very ambiguous job. So in certain areas, you're doing a portion of what I do. In certain areas, you're doing more than what I do. It all really depends on the business. But Promio was in franchise marketing sales. So it was all in marketing. It was marketing tech, whereas this is real estate tech.
I see.
Really, product is in any kind of technology. So Facebook would have a product manager for just the messenger. Instagram has, you know, like Snapchat. There's a product manager specifically on like just, you know, how to do stories. Like I'm going to press this, it's going to record. How does all of that get stored somewhere? Who gets to see it? We delete it after a certain amount of, someone thought about all of that. And created that, or Gmail.
I mean, so that's what you were saying, that, you know, kind of the hip of what you do is the UX UI designer, because that's all part of all of that. Wow. Okay. I think what's hard for me as you're talking is like, every time you say product, I keep thinking like a physical product. So it's like hard for me to wrap my head around this concept, right? Of like, it's like different types of tech that one would use that is feasible and usable and like, okay, but I'm good now.
Yeah. Like, so on Netflix, the engine that says this is what you would most likely like to watch.
Yes.
A product manager owns that. Just figuring out what's the best way for someone to get the right content to keep them on our site.
That's insane, man. I'm going to keep thinking about those kind of things.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
That's really cool. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of like chat about or tell people about?
I don't know. Sorry, we probably jumped all over the place.
No, I'm sorry. I tend to do that. People start talking and then I get all excited because I want to talk about that one thing. But I realize that people want to hear a whole bunch of things. But yeah, was there anything else?
Really just, I think it's just important for everyone to know that they're built for something, and you'll never ever find it if you're not willing to put yourself out there. And you're not going to find it on your first go. It took me, several jobs, several different things to find like this. For a long time, I thought I was going to be leading worship because I was good at it and I loved it. But this is so much more like really tied to what I love doing and how I was built. But a lot of times the fear of change is greater than the pain of staying the same. And because of that, you're unwilling to go and find what could really be the greatest thing ever. But I think, if anything, hopefully my story encourages people who are sitting in a job that they hate, or finished a degree where they feel like, oh shoot, I've invested so much money, I have to do this, into finding, the job that you love doing, that really brings you life. And the good thing is, if you're good at your job, like money will always follow. And so like, if you find the right thing, then, you're just going to enjoy life so much more. And so, I don't know. I guess that's like the one thing that I would encourage people to do. And like, you don't have to quit your job, right? Like one of the things I told Lois, is like, go do a couple things on Etsy. Like that doesn't cost you anything. Like you interested in product, like go try, like a little side thing. Like for me, I've tried so many things and failed so many times. And I think that is the secret of life, like being okay with that. So yeah. I don't know.
I think that's really sound advice, especially I think for this generation, like those that are listening to that, it's okay. I mean, I think these days, not that we're old, but we're not old, but just like, those that are younger than us, I do think that is being preached more, right? Like it's okay to fail, try new things, and if it doesn't work, you can try again. And I do think that's important, right? And I guess just some pushback for me is like, I feel like sometimes we've lost our grittiness, right?
Yeah.
To like stick to one thing, but and like just like follow through. I think that's my MO. It's like please follow through, right? But I'm realizing too that like, why follow through if you just know this isn't for you? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, think that's really good. I like what you said too.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. I think, if you quit before you actually know, it's like I said, failing without learning is a complete waste of time. And if you quit before you actually know this is not the right thing for me, you might miss out too. Because the beginning of when I was working with Jason, it was hard. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all.
Yeah. But I mean, yes, you stuck with it and you figured it out, which is the most important part, I feel like. Hey, so this is kind of off topic, but I just wanted to ask you about it. Like, you mentioned that you thought you were going to be leading worship, and that's what you were going to do. Can you like talk a little bit about that? You also mentioned you spent some time in Australia for a year, like doing music and stuff. And I was wondering if you could just a sidebar, speak a little bit about your experience of that, because I feel like those listening would be interested and it would be really insightful for a lot of us.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I think you got to give anything an honest go. So, for me, coming out of college, not going to dental school, I pursued the next thing. So that was leading worship. So I went to Australia to Hillsong's college out there for worship leading. And I did that for a year, came back, and I was on staff at 4 Points as the worship director.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like, hey, this is where I'm going to be and this is what I'm going to do. And I gave it an honest go. I think that's, 3-4 years. And for anyone who's known me for a long time, I've been leading worship since like 9th grade.
Yes.
So I've been leading worship for and for those of you who don't know when 9th grade was, just know it was a long time ago.
Was it a long time ago?
It's a long time ago now.
P.S. Jonathan and I, we went to school together.
Yeah.
Back in high school. Was it middle school too?
No, high school. High school.
We didn't go to middle school. Where'd you go to middle school?
I was in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah.
I have sworn you were in my middle school. But anyway, okay, so we went to high school together. So that's why we keep referencing our ages. But but yes, since 9th grade, you've been leading worship.
Yeah, so I've been leading worship. I loved it. And it's a passion of mine, even still to this day. But when I got into everyday work of worship directing, I think there was the joy of doing it, but there was something missing as far as what my I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Like there's just like in the thought of let's see, Adam having to till the soil, like or there was work there to be done before, and there's something good about getting your hands dirty or doing a job and work, and like it's there before the fall of man. Work is a good thing, and for me, like I wanted to find that, and so as I was doing that and doing all the worship directing, I found product management, and I felt like, man, this is really what I'm here to do. But worship leading is still a huge passion of mine, and I love music. We're writing music, we're creating music, we're always playing, and like no matter what I did, like you said earlier, I gave it an honest go. Like when we came back and we were doing worship at 4 Points, it wasn't like, oh, like I'll just kind of do, like it was like, how do we do this to the best of our ability, and how do we really change the landscape, or like how do we take it to the next level? And anything that I ever did, that's Mamba mentality, like what I wanted to do. And so I don't know if you want me to go into anything deeper than that, but like I'm honestly an open, transparent book, so you can ask me whatever you want. But it's still a huge passion of mine.
No. I guess I just, I just wanted to know, I guess like why you just kind of decided, that this was not what you thought it was going to be and you wanted to do something different,
So actually, okay, I'm actually really happy you asked that. So for me, my background, my dad is a pastor, and I grew up in church. And so for me, my life like completely revolved around church. I was at school, never went to a football game because we had Friday night. Like didn't go to my prom because I was leading worship at Friday night. Like my whole world revolved around church. And when I went into Promio for the first time in like an office setting, and I saw Jason Jong do in-work discipleship, that was one of the most real things in my life. So we had somebody, one of our coworkers, who went through a fight with cancer, and what I saw was every day he was a man of integrity in business, which sometimes is hard to find. It's easy to lie, cheat, and steal in business, but he's a man of integrity, and he cared way more about the people than he did about the money that we made. And so our employees all saw that and said, what is different about this man? And when tragedy hit, the impact that he was able to have around the people around him was narrower, but way deeper than maybe some of the things that I was seeing, where I was hitting a lot of people with maybe not as much depth.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I said, this is what I want to do. So like, even for me at work, when I have one-on-ones with people, it's more about them. How are you doing at home? How's your marriage? And how are you doing as a person? And taking care of all of those things for the people under me. And then I care about work. But when tragedy hits, it gives you so much more of a outward living of faith that I had never experienced before. And I got hooked to that, where I was like, I feel like I am really being salt and light when I don't even need to, like, you know, shove some kind of gospel thing down someone's throat, but actually really be like Jesus and just love the people around me and see them succeed and see them grow. And that allows me to be a part of what God's doing. And I think there was something about that clicked for me. And I was like, man, this is what I want to do. I want to, you know, have a team of people that I can really disciple day in and day out. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that is extremely, I mean, I don't want to, I can't find the word for it. I was going to say powerful, but it's more than that. But that answers my question. It definitely answers my question. I liked what you said about the narrower but deeper.
Yeah.
And I feel like, man, in the day and age that we live in, that is so absent. Right?
Absolutely.
Because like with social media and everything, it's like we want the masses. We always want the masses. And man, that's sad, huh?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's the unspoken thankless stuff that no one will ever know. And that's not our generation at all. But
right.
That's why, you know, we lack a lot of depth, I think, in our generation.
You guys, go into your workplace and go deep. But man, that's awesome, Jonathan. Thank you so much for sharing and being so vulnerable with me in that. Well, we are coming to the end of our time together, and you did share some advice, but do you have any advice for somebody that maybe is listening to this and is like, hey, product, like this is maybe something I want to do? Any advice for them? Any guidance?
Yeah, so I'd say read. So when I first got into product management, I, like probably most of you, had no idea what it was. So there's a book by Ben Horowitz called Hard Things About Hard Things. There's a book, I just read so much. They're like inspired by Marty Kagan, empowered by Marty Kagan, Linchpin by Seth Godin. There's a Simon Sinek book, Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last. He has a new one called The Infinite Game. I also read stuff like Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, like just the story of Phil Knight. Like, I just read a ton about product management because, again, I think this field is very ambiguous. So it's different in every business that you kind of go into. But having that, I think, would be super helpful. And then YouTube, Pluralsight, Lynda, any of those things is really easy to gain content. General Assembly also has courses for this as well.
Right. Sorry, what's Lynda?
Lynda is just like Pluralsight. So Lynda, I think.
Okay.
It's basically courses. So anything you could ever think of. If you want to learn how to write JavaScript, it'll say like course 1, and it'll basically give you free education for like a monthly subscription, I think, like $15 a month or something like that. I forget how much it is, but
that's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
like definitely. You could change your entire career by going on Pluralsight, Lynda. If you want something free, Code Academy specifically for coding. But yeah.
Man, awesome. That's really great. You know, if there's anybody that wants to know more, just not just by reading, but maybe by chatting, would you mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you again, Jonathan. Like you heard just now, if you have any questions about product, being a director of product, Jonathan is your man. And I know that he'd be happy to talk to you about it. If you don't want to reach out to him or don't know how to contact him, you can DM us through social media or email me at podcastwigu@gmail.com. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time.